We could be looking at an absolutely massive moment for XRP. I'm also in this video going to give an update on SOUN, as that has been something I've covered recently that made a big move yesterday. We got to see how things are shaping up today. Also an update on BBAI. And then for my penny stock play that I'm really eyeing up right now is Lucid. Now, mind you, I do have a whole list of best penny stocks to buy now. You can go back and watch my other videos. You can also join us over at the Discord. There's a whole team of experts over there waiting to help you in your journey towards financial freedom and building alpha in your portfolio. Links in the description, code word doctor when you sign up. It's going to save you some cash. Allow you to try it out for cheaper and see what you think about over there. I think you can love what you find. Guys, let's jump over into the charts. We'll kick things off with my friend XRP. So for XRP, big thing that's happening, finally crossing over 232. Now, mind you, it's done it a bunch of times before, but there's something a little bit different right now than we've had in previous times. So let's go through and take a look. So if we go back here to the last time that we popped up over 232, we had not a perfect structure. The 5 was over the 13 and the 50, but the 13 was not over the 50, and this thing fell back apart. Now, mind you, right here where you see this big candle, going back to May the 8th, this is where we actually started to see those moving averages cross over and the candles right on top of them, leading to a truer breakout, which took us all the way up to about 263 before getting rejected. And then we tried to break that 232 several times, couldn't hold on to it as support. Things fell apart a little bit, caught massive support down here. The moving averages couldn't get back up above the 50 the last time we tried this, not back up above 50, not back up above 50. Then finally, after this first test of resistance here at 232, today having that retest, and so far pushing through it with the 5 above the 13, the 5 and the 13 both above the 50. So we had those bullish crossovers, and we also tested support at the 200 EMA and found support there as well. By the way, the RSI on this thing, the RSI, which is down here on the chart, is absolutely ripe, sitting at 62 for continued bullish momentum. And if we go out to the weekly chart on this, let me reset the view. We have the 5 crossing back above the 13, another bullish sign for a longer term trend. And we're also above the 50 and the 200. So that is excellent, signaling the RSI at nearly 55 on this on a weekly basis as I record this video. And we got to the monthly trend, we're at 67.22. So we're in bullish territory, but we are not in overbought territory. So also check out these low wicks that we have here. Anytime that we go south of about 210, we start to see those big buying pressure come in, push this price back up, and we're back on top of that 5 period for the monthly average for XRP. So XRP sitting pretty right now. Where could it go from here? Well, it depends on what time frame you're looking at. Up to 253 to 263. That resistance, we caught us there before. If we're able to hold 232 as support and we're also able to hold 263 as support, then we can look up closer to 297. We might as well call it $3 at that point in time. And then after that, we have more resistance at 331, 361. My first price target of 382, definitely within 2025 is where that price target is sitting. Also within 2025. In a slightly longer term, although where the heck is it? There we go. $4.63, I think, is a price that we can see if the entire crypto market is at the back of XRP with ETF approvals and everything that could be coming its way. Further tokenization of assets, if that's a narrative that builds out and XRP stands to be the recipient of it, then I think that we see that price tag coming out within 2025, and I think that that can be pretty exciting. Guys, so for XRP, crossing 232, we got rejected. We want to not only see that we're holding it today, we want to close above it, but then after that, we want to see that continued momentum to take us on top of 263 and actually hold that as support as well. That's going to be that further continuation. Bullish signs that we have, it would certainly help with Bitcoin in the background. We're also to pump to new highs that could really help things out as well. And then also risk assets in general, just finding reasons to stay bullish. Certainly keep some wind in the sails of XRP. If we find ourselves in a risk-off environment, that can make things a little bit tougher to hit those price targets that I talked about, and then we have to reassess our position. So we'll have to watch and see. I do want to get into the stocks that I've been following on this channel. So if you wouldn't mind, we're going to jump back over here. I guess even if you do mind, but if you do mind, I guess you wouldn't necessarily be watching. So this is SOUN, ticker symbols in the back here, SOUN. We're looking at the 4-hour chart. And this thing, I mean, we can see the volumes from across time here. The volume yesterday was absolutely explosive, and that did put us significantly overbought on a 4-hour basis. If we go out to daily, we're just in overbought territory. Weekly, we're perfectly bullish. Monthly, perfectly bullish. So when we look at this 4-hour chart, not necessarily too concerning to be up close to 80 on this thing, but that could mean in the nearer term that you might have a little bit of price softening, but that could certainly be as low as intraday that we would see such a thing happen. Let's drop down to the daily chart, because then you see this slightly symmetric triangle with a bullish bias here, triangle pattern shaping up for us. This could be that pump that pushes us up to 1403. We got to find out if we have resistance there or if it turns into support for us. We do have support down at 1226. I think the price tag on this thing could push as high as 1514, maybe today, maybe this week, maybe next week, but I do think in the near future, if this price action is going to continue, a $15 price tag is reasonable. I do want to say for a moment here, let me go out to the daily chart for you for this one, because I want you to see over here in the pre-market, it's currently sitting about $13. And if I reset the view, as we look at what happens around this value, you guys can see that we start to hit the bottom of these wicks that are over here. Let me stretch that out. And let's take down the moving averages to clean this up a little bit more for you. So here's yesterday's close at $12.71, pre-market 1303. And you can see we're starting to get the bottom of these. That can be resistance for us, kind of getting in that choppy territory. $15, by the way, is way up here. So still within that chop, if that momentum can push us. We did have some pretty explosive volume. So when was the last time that we had volume that good? It actually goes back to the sell-off back on February the 14th. As I said in my video yesterday, no love for SOUN during that time. And to get even bigger volumes, got to go back to December 16th. And before that, December 6th and December 5th is where we had the last igniting volume, which set this thing up over, let me see where that price tag was, about $25 per share. I think that was SoundHound having NVIDIA at its back, I think was that big news that we had. And we have a very nice continuation of this momentum build with a very nice shape of the graph too, with some evidence of a cup and handle that we have playing out as well, which points us to a price tag target close to like $13.71, which if I put my lines back up here and we go back down to the 1-hour chart, we can see a little bit better where that would put us. 1371 puts us just south of this resistance line at 1403. And let me see if I can show you that cup and handle. The 4-hour chart is when you can see it. Right here, you can see a bit of the cup. And maybe you could argue that this is a little bit of a handle coming off this part. So that breakout would point to this, that 1371. After yesterday's explosive volume, you can even see it maybe even better here on the 1-hour chart compared to what it looked like days before this. Usually volume like this with a big move up, usually that momentum carries into the next several days. So we'll see if we get that move. Moving over into BBAI, the volume starting to subside a little bit, starting to subdue. You can see what happened when we punched through to 841. We need to hold at 841 as support in order to have that climb higher. I'm still aiming for 10, maybe even up as high as $15 per share for BBAI during this run. That doesn't mean that there isn't some price softness. We definitely want to watch what happens around this area of support. I had it labeled as a resistance, but as soon as we saw this day going back here, so Wednesday of last week, where we started to dance on top of this thing and confirm it as support, I turned it from red to green. Now we have it as support. We want to hold on to that. That starts at 736 and goes all the way down to about 676. So holding that as support is going to be huge for us, especially right in here. There's some signs of pivots that we had before, right in the low $7 range, 714, 715. That's where we find those. And then also some moving average support along the way as well. And so if I take down the SMAs and put up the EMAs, go out to the daily basis here just to see a little bit of what's going on for BBAI. We're going to hide the technicals that are on here for a moment, just to pay attention. These high top wicks that we got, that's evidence of selling pressure for us. It doesn't have to send us back down, but we are significantly overbought, although it did cool down a little bit yesterday. We'll see if that continues. But if we go out to a weekly basis, we're just barely into overbought territory, creeping back out at 69.36. I'll still call it overbought for our purposes. And you guys can see further evidence of those high wicks for selling pressure. I don't think that this, especially after this major volume we got in June, I don't think that this is time that this thing fully turns around and get that full pullback that we got last time. I think instead this could be a little bit of softening, allows us to pull back before that next run comes in. And so for Big Bear AI, I have my moves on this. If you guys want to see those moves that I've made, make sure that you join the Discord. Make sure you use code word doctor with that earner tier to get unrestricted access, to make sure that you can see my expert channel along with the other experts channels that are over in the Discord as well, and the other products and services that are available only to the earner tier members. Learner tier is still a great deal, still a lot of value, but certainly if you want that full value, the earner tier is the way to go. Code word doctor is going to work for that for 50% off your first month. So for Big Bear AI, this thing looking real pretty as we get into longer time horizons. Not yet in overbought territory on a monthly basis, but once again, you can see for all the other times that we had those big moves up, that every time it's met with some pretty massive selling pressure. I don't think that this is the end of where we're at yet. Now, mind you, this is July's candle right here, because this is the monthly chart that we're looking at. We can still, from where we're at right now, this wick, because we're at the open was down here, the close is right here, that's yesterday's closing price. We can definitely turn this into a very high wick over time if we end up closing further down from where we're at right now. And we'll plan things out as we go, but still, my bullish case on this, $10 to $15 per share is what we're looking at during this next run. I think that it's in the cards for us in Q3. It's one of my best stocks to buy in Q3 of 2025. So moving over to my friend Lucid, and I talked about this yesterday. I'm going to throw out those reminders. We'll start the monthly chart. On the monthly chart from yesterday's close, $2.32 is where we find this green 5-period moving average that's dancing behind the candles here. Sitting on top of that and actually holding on to it for support is going to be huge and allowing further upside price movement. The 13-period EMA on this is at 279, which is well above where we'd find ourselves at that 232 level. If we drop back down to the weekly chart, we actually have 231 to get above. So for 231, so I said 232 is that number because 231 is a little bit lower than that. 231 sitting on top of that would be an even nearer term sign that we're going to have further price appreciation with that 50-period EMA up at 277. And come on, weekly chart, get that 5 to cross the 13, because that could allow Lucid to be absolutely explosive from where it's at right now, and we definitely want to see that take place. If we drop down to the daily chart, there's yesterday's candle on some pretty decent volume, closing up above the 50 period. We closed yesterday at $2.30 with the 50 EMA being at 229. We need to get up above 232. We need to close above 232. Be nice to get a full candle on top of $2.32. Like I said, to offer that further upside from where we're at right now. And it looks like we can punch through the 200 period moving average that's on here. This is the EMA. Looks like we have trouble holding on to it once we get there. That could tell us about where that selling comes in for Lucid off of a triple bottom like this. A double bottom, great. Triple bottom, even better, even more bullish that we could watch that upside appreciation come our way. I'm looking for that $3 price tag to come out of Lucid on this at the very least. We'll see what we get, what sort of news comes out, what sign of sentiment, what kind of risk environment we find ourselves in over time with the stock market as well. So for these risk assets that we're looking at here, of course, anything could happen. There's going to be tons of volatility with every play that I've shared. I do believe that it's going to be to the upside for all four of them, for XRP, for SOUN, for BBAI, and for LCID. So that's why I shared my bullish sentiment with you. The downside is always there. It's always possible. If we don't get up above 232, if we can't close above that, we'll probably get tamped back down for a little while longer. But with the volume move that we had, especially on Lucid, with that volume move that we had, closing up above the 50-period EMA, with the 5 above the 13, with that crossover, that's the first bullish sign that we're looking at. So this could be the very beginning of that movement for XRP. We could see that move if we stay. Was 232 that number as well for XRP? If so, that's kind of cool, because I think it was 232. So hey, for Lucid and XRP, 232 is that number. I've noticed that before, but now that I'm noticing it, I think it's kind of neat. Numerology. And then also for SOUN, got to hold on to that support, got to break that resistance. That's what it comes down to see that $15 price tag. come out of this. It is possible that it does collapse, but usually after a volume supportive move like that we get with SOUN yesterday and all the other bullish indicators that we have for it, upside is usually the general direction that we go. Big Bear AI, a little bit further advanced than what SOUN is in terms of its price action, that we've seen a large bullish movement, larger one that SOUN has put in more recently. And that is something that could show us a little bit more softening near term, especially by what the technicals are suggesting. But I do think after whatever resting period we may need, I think that's where that $10 to $15 price tag comes in for BBAI. Guys, you can join me over at the Discord and the other community members, the other panel experts that are over there. Like I said, code word doctor, use the earner tier. But if you also want to know how to support yourself in your journey towards financial freedom and building alpha in your portfolio through options, through technical analysis, through technical trading, there's some coursework through Stockmo Academy. Click on that link in the description. Check out those courses. The bundle is going to save you the most, especially when you use code word doctor on top of it. Code word doctor will work with any combination of those courses. Buy just one course, bundle the two courses together. Code word doctor is going to give you some massive savings. The bundle saves you even more. It's the best value that you're going to find. And I've also vetted these courses myself. As a matter of fact, I have some videos in the technical analysis course that you guys can also check out, some of the insights that I offer within that course, within Stockmo Academy. And I got to tell you, with 17 years in education, an earned doctorate, a master's degree in instructional technology as well, I will tell you that these courses are top-notch, A1, ready to go for you to help support you in that process towards financial freedom and, like I said, building alpha in your portfolio. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. I'll see you next video.